Welcome to Thunderpunk Radio. I'm here with Vince from Smith and Wesson. So one of the reasons I really wanted to do an interview is I trust my life with Smith and Wesson M&P 2.0.
Yeah.
I think the M&P line when it first came out was a good pistol. It just wasn't really for me.
Mm-hmm.
With the 2.0, I am sold.
Yeah.
So my father purchased his first firearm during the pandemic and went out and tried a bunch. And he's a former dairy farmer. He's a hardworking dude, but doesn't know a ton about firearms. Yeah. Loves James Bond. They had a Walther PPK, and I remember he picked one up. He's like, "Wait, this is what?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's not." He's like,
"You don't want to use it."
Yeah, so they had one of these there.
Yeah.
One of these guys right here, and I like that. It had different back straps and everything. And there's two types of big hands. There's the long, skinny hands where you wear extra large gloves, where you have the big fat hands. My dad and I have big, chunky hands. And so he tried it out and liked it a lot. And then when I took him to the range, I loved it so much I immediately ordered one.
Yeah.
And now it's like my everyday carry.
Yeah.
And I use it for work. I was using it for executive protection work. I use it for teaching.
Yeah.
I haven't even put an optic on it. How are you supposed to teach people with iron sights if you don't just run iron sights yourself?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, absolutely wonderful pistol. I was shooting a 8-inch steel target at 150 yards, and I love it. So just want to talk about the evolution of the M&P line.
So to start it off, M&P came out in 2005.
Okay.
And it's gone through a ton of iterations throughout that time. It's 2023 now. We're into the 2.0s, and this is almost the revamp off of the 2.0 that we originally had. So it's going to have just different features like front serrations, a new flat trigger, optics cut, co-witness sights. So it's just kind of kept up with the time. So we've seen a bunch of trends where more people are using dots on pistols. We want to accommodate that. So here we have our core plate, which comes with 6 to 7 plates to basically mount any of the popular aftermarket red dots out there. We want to make sure that we give the variety for people if they're looking for variety. Dots, sights, things like that. It's really up to the individual on what works for them. So we want to make sure that we're accommodating as many options as possible with that platform.
Now, as far as that plate, plastic plate or metal plate?
They're all polymer.
Okay, so a lot of people were like, I don't know, man, but there's been no issues from what I've heard.
So I think originally we had metal plates. We migrated to polymer. We've tested, and we've actually found that the polymer plates are super durable, super robust. And because they're somewhat pliable, they actually work because there's so much force when that slides reciprocating. The polymer is able to adapt to that. I mean, this gun is polymer, right?
Right,
it's able to adapt and flex.
Absorb some of that shock and recoil as opposed to like eventually just shearing completely off.
Or it gets pressure cracks over time. So we always get the question, why not metal plates? And that's the reason, is that the polymer ones, through our testing, and we do super rigorous testing, those have stood up. So we're super comfortable with those for anybody who needs them.
Cool.
So 2.0, obviously a great platform. You trust it. I can say I work for the company. I work for the company because I trust what we do. Our engineering team, they're outstanding. They designed the M&P around ergonomics. Fit and feel are the two things that we basically put to the top when we're going into a gun. So when you feel it in your hand, super comfortable. We think that leads to better shooting.
Well, also, if you enjoy shooting, you're going to train more.
Exactly.
It's more comfortable. You're going to train more. And the improvements in ergonomics from your first series to the 2.0, like I'm a big 1911 guy, and this mirrors the 1911 so much more.
Yeah. When we did that, we took that grip angle that was from the 1911 platform because it's a very natural point of aim. And what we mean by that is when I point the gun out, the sights are naturally aligned.
For most people, most human beings.
I don't have to manipulate the angle of my wrist to get that alignment. So it's a better starting point for most shooters.
Right.
Because it's just something that they don't have to learn. They don't have to kind of program in their minds. It's just, this is my natural instinct to point, and we're virtually aligned on the sights.
Another thing I love about your M&P series is frame-mounted manual safeties. With a striker-fired gun, it's not necessary, so to speak, but I prefer frame-mounted safeties just from a lot of the type of work I do, coming from a military background. Did you guys do this because this was initially in the U.S. Army trials, or why incorporate on a striker-fired gun a manual safety?
Yeah, actually a lot of feedback from when we developed the gun for law enforcement partners. That was one of the things that they had asked about when we do safeties, because some departments do like that. And it's a variety. Like I said, we've done a ton of different options, and usually it's It's feedback from our law enforcement, shooters, professional shooters, and consumers. It's gone through so many different iterations, and we try and keep accommodating as many people as we can. We love the gun. It's been tried and tested since 2005, so we've got a lot of confidence in this platform. So we want to keep updating and making sure that if people have certain needs, we have an option that's available for them.
Awesome.
So obviously, with the 2.0, this version in particular, we've gone through those revamps. One of the big things that we had changed, and probably based on a lot of consumer feedback, was the trigger design from the 1.0.
It wasn't a bad factory trigger when
Yep.
the 2.0 first came out, but I dropped an Apex in mine.
Yeah.
This trigger is similar to my Apex as far as feel. I was just messing with it. Like, the reset is phenomenal.
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah, so they went through, and initially when we still had the hinge trigger, they went through and changed some of the internals to just get that more tactile reset that somebody could feel as they're shooting, and it's good feedback so that I know where that wall is and I know when it's going to break. When we did this flatter design, that was to help kind of enhance the shooting of the gun. Because of that flat design, and it's a little thicker than what we had with the curved trigger, my finger can rest a little bit more naturally, and when I pull back to that wall,
It doesn't like move your
doesn't
move your finger
move,
around. Yeah.
and there's less left to right play because it's that flatter pushback. And so what it does is basically leads to more accurate shooting. I have a 2.0 with the flat trigger, and I can shoot that better than I did with the curved trigger now. So all subjective. Some people love the curved trigger. Some people shoot that really well. And we have those. So it's still, pick your poison, whatever
Gotcha.
you want. But for me personally, that was one of the big enhancements that I selfishly enjoyed on the 2.0.
I found that I shoot flat trigger better as well.
Yeah.
So
So it's good.
cool. So it's probably an obvious question, but where can people find out more about Smith and Wesson?
Yeah.
What are your social medias?
Yeah, check us out. We're on all the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can go to our website, smith-wesson.com, and you can find everything you need there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, man.
Thanks, man.
Hey, folks, if you like the video, we'd really appreciate the like. I don't like asking for it, but it really helps the algorithm. And when you ask, people are like, oh, yeah, and then they remember to do it. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Leave a comment down below. But if you don't do anything, do push-ups. All right, have a wonderful day.
Do some push-ups.